Going alcohol-free in a world obsessed with rosé makes you brave. And this is a topic I've been talking a lot with my clients lately. It's been coming up because sometimes when you're a gray area drinker, bad enough isn't often a reason to change your drinking. Or maybe you take a break for a month or two and then you end up going back. And while it's not the most pleasant phenomenon, it's also just not bad enough. There's no hidden vodka in your closet. You're not getting DUIs. All this stuff that usually can stop people from wanting to go down into the negative spiral. When you're in the gray area drink, you're really good enough is often what the reality is. It's like life isn't the best. I'm not proud of my drinking habits, but it's not the worst thing in the world either. And so oftentimes we need to find a deeper motivation, something that's not motivating us away just from the pain that we're experiencing, but also towards the pleasure that we do want in your life. And so this concept that going alcohol-free makes you brave is so, so important. In fact, my book Euphoric is going to be out in bookshelves in January 2022. And that means that the final copies and the editing and all that stuff is happening right now. I'm so excited for it, and I have a whole chapter dedicated to why going alcohol-free makes you brave. The thing is, this bravery that you're training yourself for isn't just a means to an end. It's not just about taking a break from alcohol or going alcohol-free. It's literally preparing you for the next big thing you're supposed to do in your life. Going alcohol-free is preparing you to be brave enough to go after the desires on your heart. What do I mean by this? Now, when you live in a world that's literally like every normal adult is drinking around you, you really have to go against the grain to become alcohol-free. You really have to buck some trends. You really do have to feel that you are a wolf among maybe sheep that are just doing the same thing over and over again, and you are changing. And the thing is that when you actually stand up to the cultural norms or the societal norms around you, that's huge. And I know oftentimes this gives us a lot of insecurities. We feel maybe embarrassed about going alcohol-free or not sure what to say to ourselves, to people when we're explaining it, or just feeling not confident when it happens. But, this ability to actually be confident or to be sure of yourself, and this decision to put yourself first, your well-being first, your self-love first, over having a drink to fit in, is training a muscle for you. It's training a muscle for you that will make it so much easier to do what's outside of the cultural norms in other areas of your life. In this chapter about being brave because you're alcohol-free, it's all about really understanding that this is a muscle you're building for other amazing things. Like, it takes bravery to order a mocktail at a restaurant. It takes bravery to explain to your friends you're not drinking. It takes bravery to be the only one at a party not getting drunk. It takes a lot of bravery to stand up to the status quo because you want different from your life. And it takes a lot of bravery to actually peel back the layers and look into your psyche and try to understand what's behind this motivation. Why were you drinking in the first place? What can you do to change your life to have more healthier coping mechanisms? Like, how do you need to take care of yourself? What do you really want? That kind of bravery to do that introspection, you will meet majority of people who will never do that level of introspection in their lives because it's scary. We're scared of the answers, literally. And so that bravery that it takes to go alcohol-free might really not just be about transforming that one area in your life. Like, maybe you've been led down this path for a very important reason. You've been led down this path to build that muscle so that you can do the next big thing in your life. Now, when you form your bravery muscle, when you start bucking the trend, when you start not doing what's expected of you in this one area of your life, you're starting to give yourself permission to not do what's expected of you in other areas of your life. What do I mean by that? When I say that drinking is a cultural norm, it means because the predominant majority of the population drinks, and it's what we consider normal, and that's what everyone does. What else falls into those categories? Well, like getting married and having 2.5 kids for one, getting a stable, secure 9-to-5 job so that you can pay your mortgage too, usually having no energy and getting very tired and run down in midlife is very normal as well. And really just not taking care of your hopes and dreams, but really living for the other expectations of other people. Maybe it's getting advanced degrees to prove to your parents that you're worth it. Maybe it's getting a job title that looks fancy on the outside, but doesn't really bring you fulfillment on the inside. Our deepest hopes and dreams are often wildly not congruous with what society has told us we should be reaching for, whether it's a level of status or success or whatever it is. In fact, sometimes our deepest hopes and dreams were marked really silly or unrealistic when we were kids. I mean, who didn't grow up wanting to be like a singer or like a writer or something just crazy, something that most people don't go into as a career because of just how unrealistic it is. We're shoved away from the things that we want to do, and we're put into these tidy bins of respectable careers. And whether it's your career that you're forming bravery around or something else, the thing is when you live by the cultural norms and the expectations of other people for your life, and you're not even in tune with what you really want. I remember when I was working at my 9-to-5, it was hard to even know what I wanted. Everyone just wanted this certain job title and promotion. We all just kind of absorbed each other's, we lost each other's real goals and dreams, and we just absorbed the goal of that reality. It wasn't even possible to really ask yourself, do I even envy anyone here at my job? Do I really want the next higher up version of this job? I really didn't, at the core of it. But it's hard to even know that because we're taught that, this is how to please society. This is how to please your parents. This is how to do all this stuff that's not for you. And maybe you feel like you're doing stuff for everyone else in a different kind of way. Maybe you're a mom and you're running around being superwoman to take care of the kids and your husband and the job and get the bills paid. And you have no time to finally ask yourself, well, what do I want? What do I need? What do I actually want to do? That desire doesn't have to overrun the other kind of roles that you play, but it needs to be just as important. And so, whatever it is that's on your heart, whether that's changing your job, launching your own business, going to move somewhere different away from your family or friends, doing something crazy, maybe who knows, hiking the PCT or just some kind of dream on your heart that you've always wanted to do. No matter what it is, when you think of those incredible things people do around this planet, it takes bravery to do them. They don't just fall into your lap, because whatever you're doing, someone else will definitely think is crazy. Whatever you're doing is away from security, is away from comfort. Whatever you're doing is a big enough departure from the norm that other people will think you're a little crazy to do it. Not all people, but the normal kind of trend would be, oh, okay, that's insane. How are you going to pay the bills? How are you going to do that? That's not safe, all this kind of stuff. And so you have to realize that this bravery that you get from bucking the trend, from not going in the typical fashion, the herd off the cliff when it comes to drinking, you're literally training this muscle to become brave in so many other areas of your life. It might literally not be the reason that you have to change your drinking is because there's so many red flags. It literally might be that this is the way the universe has positioned your journey so that you can grow into the version of yourself that you're meant to be. You can grow into the version of yourself that doesn't care what your friend thinks, that doesn't care what your parents thinks, that doesn't care what other people, what stories they're making up in their head about you. All that matters is what you're doing in your life so that you live a life of no regrets. So if you were to live a life of no regrets, if you were to literally be on your deathbed thinking, I did everything I wanted to do, what are those things for you? Maybe they're wild, crazy dreams that make no sense even. Maybe it's doing a cross-country bike ride. Maybe it's going to India and living there for 6 months. Maybe it's getting really, really involved in a nonprofit or in some kind of NGO in a different country. Maybe it's writing a book. Maybe it's starting your own podcast. Maybe it's going on a speaker tour. Maybe it's who knows what it is, but only you know what pulls on your heart. And whatever that is, I bet you it's not easy, it's not comfortable, and you have to get outside of other people's expectations to be able to go for it. You have to be able to put your own desires and your own faith over your own fear. And that's the thing. It's not just about bucking the trend and not doing what other people expect of you. When we go outside any of the cultural norms, any of the ways that, we're supposed to conform, our own voice of fear will come up rising to the surface to tell us how scary and stupid this decision is. Our own voice of fear often mimics the voice of logic and reasoning. This voice is like your inner controller at the company telling you, well, you can't do this because X, Y, and Z will happen, and then this negative consequence, and it's like meant to be the like security clearance to like make sure nothing bad ever happens to you. That voice of fear is trying to protect you, but that voice of fear is also deeply, deeply rooted in parts of your brain that were less human, that are more centralized to this, like a long time ago in evolution when we had more reptilian fight or flight kind of instincts. They're not always the voice that you have to listen to. Danger is real, but fear is not. Fear is completely made up. It's completely within our heads. And depending on how you decide to choose to think about something or go about something, you can decide to welcome, you'll have the fear still. The fear doesn't go away, but you can welcome the fear, say, thank you for your input, but I'm not going to listen to you today. And I'm going to go choose faith over my fear. It takes a lot of faith over fear to quit your job. It takes a lot of faith over fear to start writing your book. It starts a lot of faith over fear to move around the world or just move states even. It takes a lot of faith over fear to put yourself out there and look for a romantic relationship. It takes so much faith over fear to start working on the things that are dearest to you that you might not know what they will turn into. That's the thing about our biggest goals and dreams. We often don't know what the big size of it is or what it's going to turn into. We just hear this little message from our heart that's saying, you need to start writing, or you need to really research this trip, or you really need to do this and that. And that little message from our intuition is oftentimes that very first baby step that we need to do. When my intuition was telling me I need to write, there was another voice of society and fear that was telling me like, Carolina, writers don't make money. Are you crazy? Like, you can't just write for a living. What's the point of writing? And so instead of actually using some of my free time while I still had a full-time job to write, I literally just wrote it off and didn't do it because of this fear-based reason. So when you go alcohol-free, not only are you building up your bravery to buck the trends, but you're also developing a stronger connection to your intuition, a stronger connection to your higher self that sees only the best possible future of you and knows that you are limitless in your potential for what you can achieve as long as you persevere. It never happens overnight. It takes a long time of baby steps. But like Richard Branson says, like, he's an overnight success that was 10 years in the making, or even 20 years in the making. Tony Robbins, for example, says he's failed more than any person on this planet. Like, success is a measure of not failing. It's oftentimes the people who are most successful failed the most. Because what makes them successful is that they persevered when other people gave up. He also says this incredible quote that sticks with me. We overestimate what we can accomplish in a year, but we underestimate what we can accomplish in a decade. Meaning we think to ourselves, well, if I can't write a book and publish a book and go on a book tour within a year, then there's no point. If I can't launch this business and make $1 million within a year, then there's no point. And it's like this, we're stopping ourselves from even getting out of the gate of the race because we think that the dream can't happen fast enough. And yet, if we just allowed ourselves to take these teeny little baby steps every day, every week, going and going and going, we have no idea what we would build within 5 years, within 10 years. It took me 4 years. It's going to take me 4 years to get my book from conception to the public. 4 years of a process. I started in 2018. It's not coming out until 2022. Imagine if I gave up in my first year and just said, this isn't happening fast enough. It's stupid. It's not going to work. Imagine if I said that. But the thing is, instead, I had faith over fear. I kept working on it. And 4 years into the future, it's going to be out in your hands. If I gave up earlier because I thought it wasn't happening fast enough, it just would have never happened. This is the thing. The time is going to pass by either way. So, like, the one thing you can be certain of is that in 4 years from today, 4 years will have passed. So does it really matter that your dream takes 4 years to accomplish? Does it really matter that it takes 10 years to accomplish, the time's going to pass by no matter what. So would you rather be working on it, even if it takes a slow progression to get to it? Or would you rather just give up and just say, oh, it doesn't happen fast enough, so it's not worth pursuing? Or there's no money in it, so there's no worth pursuing? Trust me, when you do what you love, when you do what's on your greatest passion, there is money in it. Like the world, you serve the world by doing your deepest passion and being of service to other people. People figure it out. There's someone before you that's figured out how to do what they love, that might be what you love, and they've made money off of it. So just saying that as a blanket statement isn't good enough anymore. And the thing is yeah, it probably won't take just 1 year to do what you love and make a lot of money from it. It probably will take a lot longer than that. But the time is going to pass by either way, so wouldn't you rather work on your passion project? Wouldn't you rather work on your side hustle? Wouldn't you rather do the movement that like brings meaning and fulfillment to your heart? The time is going to pass by either way, right? And the thing is not only does going alcohol-free make you brave, not only does it give you a connection to your intuition, but it also teaches you that immediate gratification isn't very fulfilling, and that doing things with your long-term contentment in mind is way more fulfilling. It means that sometimes you have to feel a little bit of discomfort in the moment in order to feel long-term fulfilled. Like, think of going on a run. Nobody likes to run. Nobody feels good when they're running within the 2-3 mile zone. Not even the 1 mile zone. Most people can't wait for it to be over, even serious runners. The fact is, though, you sit through that discomfort in the moment, and then you feel intense pride and accomplishment when you're done. And that's so often the very things that we need to do that are calling us to our souls. We feel a lot of resistance to what our soul is calling to, whether it's going alcohol-free, whether it's starting to write your book, whether it's building a business, whatever it is, you will feel resistance to it. But you will also feel wildly fulfilled when you just sit down and do it. When you just sit down and face that discomfort and then overcome it and teach yourself that immediate gratification or a fast ticket to pleasure in your brain isn't often what's most fulfilling to you. There's no like secret about it. When you think of like rats in a cage that are going through these scientific experiments, the happiest life isn't the one who gets to press the lever and get the most sugar water or cocaine or something like that in those experiments. And yet in our lives, it's so sometimes hard to see that these immediate gratifications are also not leading to long-term pleasure and long-term fulfillment. In the moment, it just seems so much easier. But every single time you choose to go alcohol-free, every single day you choose to go alcohol-free is building your muscle to seek out that long-term contentment and fulfillment over immediate gratification. And you'll learn to do that. That is a skill you'll learn and develop for the next big thing you're meant to do in your life. The bravery it takes to buck the trend, to tell people you're not drinking, to order a mocktail at a restaurant, is giving you the bravery it takes maybe to speak on a stage one day, maybe to write and publish a book, maybe to launch your own business. It's not the logistics that keep us stuck. It's our fear. It's our fear of being seen and playing big. And when you bring attention to yourself in a sense of saying, I'm not going to drink and I'm being confident about it, you're building your way and overcoming that fear so that you can then do it again in the next thing in your life. So the next time maybe you're thinking, oh, I should go back to drinking, or maybe you're drinking right now, or maybe you've taken a break and then it's like you go back and it's like really hard to keep it sustainable. Your why has to be bigger. Your why has to be bigger. It's not really about evading the bad enough, because that's often not really motivating for most people, especially in the gray area. Your why has to be, this is teaching me how to fulfill my greatest purpose on this planet. This experience is teaching me to reach for my long-term fulfillment over immediate gratification. It's teaching me to be brave and buck societal trends. It's teaching me to persevere and keep taking one baby step after another, knowing that it's not going to happen overnight and that I need to keep on working to be able to fulfill my biggest goal and dream. It's teaching you to take a risk and listening to faith over fear rather than continuing on with the status quo and staying in your comfort zone. It's teaching you all these lessons that, trust me, aren't just lessons that you're going to learn in the microcosm of taking a break from alcohol or going alcohol-free. They're lessons that will serve you for the rest of your life. So if you have any further questions about the bravery that you get when you go alcohol-free, feel free to ping me. I'm so glad you could join, Becky. I feel brave. I really appreciate your content, Carolina. I'm so glad you're here. And Ned says, when can I pre-order the book? I can't wait. Okay, hopefully it will be sometime in fall. The pre-order, October, I believe, is when they do it. So we're still a ways away, but I'm just getting so excited over here because so much is going on in the back end to get the book ready to publish. Just one of my biggest dreams that, like I said earlier, if I would have given up after a year, it would have never happened. It took me 4 years to do. And that's just 4 years of actively working on it. You know how long I've dreamed of writing a book and tried to write a book? Ever since I was like 10 years old. I have tons of not even half finished, 1 page, 2 page like tries where I tried to write this thing, where I tried to write a book, and I just couldn't get over my own resistance to do it. And I didn't just have the discipline or the belief in myself that it was possible. So, you know, like one of my favorite things sometimes when you're thinking about your goals and dreams, but you are also scared of starting off small, which is the thing, is that oftentimes it's not just fear. We're actually more embarrassed because we're going to be seen starting off small. I want you to look into one of your favorite role models. Maybe your role model is like a big time thought leader or celebrity or someone like Oprah. I have no idea. And I want you to look back into when they first started. Oftentimes the most successful people in the planet, when they first started, they had like the ugliest photos and they had the like silliest like content, or they like only made $200 that year and now they're making like $1 million a year. Like where everyone starts at the same place in the beginning. Nobody knows how to be an entrepreneur. Nobody knows how to be a writer at first. And so even telling yourself that limiting story isn't serving you. Go back and look at anyone you admire and see where they first started off. And it'll probably look embarrassing and small and all these things. And that's just the way that it goes. That's just the way of stepping out and to go after your dreams. You're going to look small at first. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to not know what you're doing, and you're going to learn through all of those things. It's incredible. It's a growing process. So share with me also any kind of dreams, or, you know, if you're thinking on your deathbed, what would you really regret not doing on this planet, or a few things that you would regret not doing? Start to marinate on that and really, really get intentional about what you devote yourself this year. It's not going to take a year probably to do your biggest, wildest goals, but why not start working on them? Because the time's going to pass by either way. All right, thank you so much for joining, y'all, and I'll see you next week.